Hello and welcome back to our chronological by 1 year reading plan. Today is day 226 and we're reading Jeremiah 26 through 29. So, Jeremiah 26. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Yoshayahu, the sovereign of Yehudah, the word came from Yahuwah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, Stand in the courtyard of the house of Yahuwah, and speak to all the cities of Yehudah, which come to bow themselves in the house of Yahuwah. All the words that I command you to speak to them, do not diminish a word. If so be that they listen and each turn from his evil way, then I shall repent of the evil that I plan to do to them, because of the evil of their deeds. And you shall say to them, Thus said Yahuwah, if you do not listen to me to walk in my Torah which I put before you, to listen to the words of my servants, the Nebe'im, which means the prophets, I am sending you, even rising up early and sending them, though you have not listened, then I shall make this house like Shiloh, and make this city a curse to all the nations of the earth. And the Kohanim, which is the priests, and the Nebe'im, which is the prophets, and all the people heard Yirmiyahu speaking these words in the house of Yahuwah. And it came to be, when Yirmiyahu had ended speaking all that Yahuwah had commanded him to speak to all the people, that the Kohanim and the Nebe'im and all the people seized him, saying, You shall certainly die. Why have you Nabu in the name of Yahuwah, saying, This house shall be like Shiloh, and this city be dried up without an inhabitant? And all the people were gathered against Yirmiyahu in the house of Yahuwah. And the heads of Yehudah heard this, and they came up from the sovereign's house to the house of Yahuwah, and sat down in the entrance of the new gate of the house of Yahuwah. And the Kohanim and the Nebe'im spoke to the heads and all the people, saying, A death sentence for this man, for he has Nebu against this city, as you have heard with your ears. And Yirmiyahu spoke to all the heads and all the people, saying, Yahuwah sent me to Nabah, again prophesy, against this house and against this city with all the words you heard. And now make good your ways and your deeds, and obey the voice of Yahuwah your Elohim. Then Yahuwah shall relent concerning the evil he has pronounced against you. And I am in your hand. Do with me as seems good and right to you. But know for certain that if you put me to death, you are bringing innocent blood on yourselves, and on this city and on its inhabitants. For truly Yahuwah has sent me to you to speak all these words in your hearing. Then the heads and all the people said to the Kohanim and the Nebe'im, No death sentence for this man, for he has spoken to us in the name of Yahuwah our Elohim. And some of the elders of the land rose up and spoke to all the assembly of the people, saying, Micaiah of Moresheth, Nebu in the days of Hizkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehudah, and he spoke to all the people of Yehudah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, Zion shall become a plowed field, and Jerusalem be heaps, and the mountain of the house like the bare hills of the forest. Did Hizkiyahu, sovereign of Yehudah, and all Yehudah indeed put him to death? Did he not revere Yahuwah and seek the favor of Yahuwah? And the Adon, which means the master, relented concerning the evil which he had pronounced against them. But we are doing great evil against ourselves. There was, however, a man who Nabu in the name of Yahuwah, Uriyahu, the son of Shemayahu of Kiriath Yearim, who Nabu against this city and against this land, according to all the words of Yirmiyahu. And when Jehoiakim the sovereign and all his mighty men and all the heads heard his words, the sovereign sought to put him to death. But Uriyahu heard of it and was afraid and fled and went to Mitzrayim, which is Egypt. Then Jehoiakim the sovereign sent men to Mitzrayim, Elnathan the son of Akbor, and some men who went with him to Mitzrayim. And they brought Uriyahu from Mitzrayim, and brought him to Jehoiakim the sovereign, who smote him with the sword and threw his dead body into the graves of the common people. However, the hand of Ahikam, son of Shaphan, was with Yirmiyahu, so as not to give him into the hand of the people to put him to death. Chapter 27. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, son of Yoshayahu, the sovereign of Yehudah, this word came to Yirmiyahu from Yahuwah, saying, This is what Yahuwah said to me. Make for yourselves bands and yokes, then you shall put them on your neck, and shall send them to the sovereign of Edom, and the sovereign of Moab, and the sovereign of the Ammonites, and the sovereign of Zor, and the sovereign of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers who come to Jerusalem to Zidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehudah. And he shall command them to say to their masters, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, say this to your masters, I have made the earth, the man, and the beast that are on the face of the earth, by my great power and by my outstretched arm, and I shall give it to whom it seemed right in my eyes. And now I have given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, my servant. And the beasts of the field I have also given him to serve him. And all nations shall serve him, and his son's son, until the time of his land comes. And then many nations and great sovereigns shall make him serve them. And it shall be the nation and reign that do not serve Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, and the one that does not put its neck under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel, that nation I shall punish, declares Yahuwah, with the sword and the scarcity of food and the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. So do not listen to your Nebaim, or to your diviners, or to your dreamers, or to your observers of clouds, or your sorcerers who speak to you, saying, Do not serve the sovereign of Babel. For they prophesy falsehood to you, to remove you far from your land. And I shall drive you out, and you shall perish. But the nations that bring their necks under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel and serve him, I shall leave in their own land, declares Yahuwah. Excuse me. And they shall till it and dwell in it. And I spoke to Zedekiah, the sovereign of Yehuda, according to all these words, saying, Bring your necks under the yoke of the sovereign of Babel, and serve him and his people, and live. Why should you die, you and your people, by the sword, by the scarcity of food, and by the pestilence, as Yahuwah has spoken against a nation that does not serve the sovereign of Babel? Do not listen to the words of the Nebaim who speak to you, saying, Do not serve the sovereign of Babel, for they prophesy falsehood to you. For I have not sent them, declares Yahuwah. Yet they prophesy falsehood in my name, in order that I drive you out. Then you shall perish, you and the Nebaim who naba to you. Then I spoke to the Kohanim and to all this people, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, Do not listen to the words of your Nebaim who prophesied to you, saying, See, the vessels of the house of Yahuwah are brought back from Babel soon now, for they prophesy falsehood to you. Do not listen to them. Serve the sovereign of Babel and live. Why should this city become a ruin? But if they are Nebaim, and if the word of Yahuwah is with them, let them now make intercession to Yahuwah of hosts, that the vessels which are left in the house of Yahuwah, and in the house of the sovereign of Yehuda, and at Jerusalem, shall not go to Babel. For thus said Yahuwah of hosts concerning the columns, and concerning the sea, and concerning the stands, and concerning the remainder of the vessels which are left in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, did not take, when he exiled Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, the sovereign of Yehuda, from Jerusalem to Babel, and all the nobles of Yehuda and Jerusalem. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of Yahuwah, and in the house of the sovereign of Yehuda and of Jerusalem. They shall be brought to Babel, and be there until the day that I visit them, declares Yahuwah. Then I shall bring them back and restore them to this place. And we're reading to 29, okay. 28. And it came to be in that year, at the beginning of the reign of Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehuda, in the 4th year, and in the 5th month, that Hananiah, son of Azur the Nebi, who was from Gabon, spoke to me in the house of Yahuwah in the presence of the Kohanim and of all the people, saying, Thus spoke Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, saying, I have broken the yoke of the sovereign of Babel. Within 2 years I am going to bring back to this place all the vessels of the house of Yahuwah, that Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, removed from this place and took to Babel. And I am going to bring back to this place Jeconiah, son of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, with all the exiles of Yehuda who went to Babel, declares Yahuwah. For I am going to break the yoke of the sovereign of Babel. Then the Nabi, Jeremiah, spoke to the Nabi Hananiah in the presence of the Kohanim and in the presence of all the people who stood in the house of Yahuwah. And the Nabi Jeremiah said, Amen. Yahuwah, do so. Yahuwah, establish your words which you have prophesied, to bring back the vessels of the house of Yahuwah and all the exiles from Babel to this place. Only hear now this word that I speak in your hearing and in the hearing of all the people. The Nebaim who have been before me and before you of old Nebu against many lands and great rains, of battle, and of evil, and of pestilence. The Nabi who Naba of peace, when the word of the Nabi comes to pass, that Nabi is known as one whom Yahuwah has truly sent. And Hananiah, the Nabi, took the yoke off the Nabi, Jeremiah's neck, and broke it. And Hananiah spoke in the presence of all the people, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, So I shall break the yoke of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, from the neck of all nations within 2 years. And the Nabi Jeremiah went his way. And the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah after Hananiah the Nabi had broken the yoke from the neck of Nabi Jeremiah, saying, Go and speak to Hananiah, saying, Thus said Yahuwah, You have broken the yokes of wood, but you shall make yokes of iron instead. For thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, I have put a yoke of iron on the neck of all these nations to serve Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, and they shall serve him. And I have also given him the beasts of the field. And the Nabi Jeremiah said to Hananiah the Nabi, Listen, please, Hananiah, Yahuwah has not sent you, but you have made this people trust in falsehood. Therefore thus said Yahuwah, See, I am sending you away from the face of the earth. This year you shall die, for you have spoken apostasy against Yahuwah. And Hananiah the Nabi died the same year in the 7th month. And chapter 29. And these are the words of the letter which Jeremiah the Nabi sent from Jerusalem to the rest of the elders of the exile, and to the Kohanim, and to the Nebi'im, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had exiled from Jerusalem to Babel. After Jeconiah the sovereign, and the sovereigness mother, and the eunuchs, and the heads of Yehudah and Jerusalem, and the craftsmen, and the smiths had gone from Jerusalem, by the hand of Elisha, son of Shaphan, and Gemariah, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah, sovereign of Yehudah, sent to Babel, to Nebuchadnezzar, the sovereign of Babel, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, Elohim of Israel, to all the exiles whom I exiled from Jerusalem to Babel, Build houses and dwell, plant gardens and eat their fruit. Take wives and bring forth sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, and let them bear sons and daughters, and be increased there and not diminished. And seek the peace of the city where I have exiled you, and pray to Yahuwah for it, for in its peace you have peace. For thus said Yahuwah of hosts, Elohim of Israel, Let not your Nevi'im and your diviners who are in your midst deceive you, neither listen to the dreams which you are dreaming. For they are prophesying falsely to you in my name. I have not sent them, declares Yahuwah. For thus said Yahuwah, When 70 years are completed, at Babel I shall visit you and establish my good word toward you to bring you back to this place. For I know the plans I am planning for you, declares Yahuwah, plans of peace and not of evil, to give you an expectancy and a latter end. And then you shall call on me, and shall come and pray to me, and I shall listen to you. And you shall seek and shall find me when you search for me with all your heart. And I shall be found by you, declares Yahuwah. And I shall turn back your captivity, and shall gather you from all the Gentiles and from all the places where I have driven you, declares Yahuwah. And I shall bring you back to the place from which I have exiled you. Because you have said, Yahuwah has risen up Nebi'im for us in Babel. Thus said Yahuwah concerning the sovereign who sits on the throne of David, concerning all the people who dwell in this city, and concerning your brothers who have not gone out with you into exile. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, See, I am sending on them the sword, the scarcity of food, and the pestilence. And I shall make them like spoilt figs, so spoilt as to be inedible. And I shall pursue them with the sword, with scarcity of food, and with pestilence. And I shall make them a horror among all the reigns of the earth, to be a curse, and an astonishment, and a hissing, and a reproach among all the Gentiles where I have driven them. For they did not heed my words, declares Yahuwah, which I sent to them by my servants the Nebi'im, rising up early and sending them, yet you did not listen, declares Yahuwah. You therefore hear the word of Yahuwah, all you exiles whom I have sent from Jerusalem to Babel. Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, concerning Ahab, son of Kaleah, and Zedekiah, son of Maaseiah, who are prophesying falsely to you in my name. See, I am giving them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel. I think it goes both ways. Both translations I've read. both of them, into the hand of Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, and he shall smite them before your eyes. And because of them all the exiles of Yehudah who are in Babel shall use a curse, saying, Yahuwah shall make you like Zidkiyahu and Ahab, whom the sovereign of Babel roasted in the fire, because they have done wickedness in Israel, and committed adultery with their neighbors' wives, and have spoken a word in my name falsely, which I have not commanded them. And I am he who knows and a witness, declares Yahuwah. And speak to Shemayahu the Nehelamite, saying, Thus speaks Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, saying, Because you have sent letters in your name to all the people who are at Jerusalem, to Zephaniah, son of Maaseiah, the Kohen, and to all the Kohanim, saying, Yahuwah has made you Kohen instead of Jehoiada the Kohen, so that there are overseers in the house of Yahuwah over everyone who is mad and makes himself a Nabi, that you should put him in the stocks and in the iron collar. So why have you not reproved Yirmiyahu of Anathoth, who makes himself a Nabi to you? For he has sent to us in Babel, saying, This is long, build houses and dwell, and plant gardens and eat their fruit. And Zephaniah the Kohen read this letter in the hearing of Yirmiyahu the Nabi. Then the word of Yahuwah came to Yirmiyahu, saying, Send it to all those in exile, saying, Thus said Yahuwah concerning Shemaiah the Nehelamite, Because Shemaiah has prophesied to you, and I have not sent him, and he has made you to trust on falsehood. Therefore, thus said Yahuwah, See, I am bringing punishment upon Shemaiah the Nehelamite and his seed. I am bringing punishment upon Shemaiah the Nehelamite and his seed. He shall have no one to dwell among this people, nor is he to see the good that I am about to do for my people, declares Yahuwah, because he has spoken apostasy against Yahuwah. And that concludes our reading for today. As always, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have been reading along, but most importantly are reading for yourself. And peace and blessings and love to you. See you in the next one.